Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series of lives. I hope you're all feeling great today, that you have your cup of coffee or tea and you're ready for some knowledge. As always, I have my phone near me, so I have the chat opened. I see all of your messages. So if you have any technical problems, let me know, or if you have any questions, you can just write them in the comment section and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. Okay, I think there's no time to wait and we can go to our presentation. As always, today you may see more text than images. Today's subject, as you can see, is about mobile apps and their types. So I've made the presentation easier to show you all the important information, so I'm sure that I will not forget anything. So let's start from the agenda. We'll start as always from the small introduction. Then I have for you some mobile app statistics. I will then tell you about types of mobile apps that you probably know from the title. And we will talk about the progressive app, native app, and hybrid app. And of course, for the end Q&A session, if you will have anything to ask, I will be there for you. Okay, so who are we and why we have decided to do this live? You should probably already know that we are a software house, so one of our tasks is also create mobile apps for our customers, and deciding on the type of app that you want to build your app in is the first business decision that you need to make. And you may recall from my previous lives that the business decision is always decision on our customer side. We are providing you with all the information you need to make this decision, but this is something we cannot do because this is your business and all the decisions about the business needs to be yours. So we thought that it would be nice to put this knowledge into the live so all of you can learn more, and maybe in the future it will be easier for our customers to find this information on their own, so they understand more and they are not that stressed to get this much information in 1 minute. So yeah, let's start. As I said for the beginning, I have some mobile app statistics. I would like to start with numbers in that kind of topics. And I found this website and I actually put the link on the bottom. So after we will post this presentation on our blog post, you can click on it, but also you can just write mindset.com/app-stats. And they have a lot more statistics than this. So if you're interested in that topic, you can just check it out. So yeah, I think I can just read it for you. First one is that in 2017, 18 to 24 years old spent 66% of their digital media time using smartphone apps. So we already see here that a lot of people in these days, especially people that are mostly our target groups, are spending time in smartphone apps. So first thought here, if you don't have a smartphone app, you probably don't get to the people you want to get. Also, mobile users are spending 87% of their time in apps versus just 13% on the web. So here we see that right now our world is focused on mobile devices, and we check a lot of the internet on our phones, but it's easier for us to do it from the app. So we don't have to look for the website, we just click and we have what we want to get. Also, mobile websites get more visitors than mobile apps, but visitors spend more time in apps. So we can see here that a lot of us are checking the website first, but then we are more likely to spend some time on the mobile app, dedicated mobile app. So it's good to remember that we need to provide our users with the mobile app as soon as possible. Also, more than 50% of all smartphone users move mobile apps to the home screen for easy access. That's something I also do. So all the apps that I have in my main screen, they are the apps that I use the most. So the next hint to create the app that have easy access from our home screen. And the last one, 76% of millennials says their phone is useless without mobile apps, and 74% open an app when bored. So here you can just imagine if you have someone who downloaded your app and is bored, and I know that a lot of people in these days are getting bored, they will just most likely open your app and maybe even do the shopping or whatever you will offer them just because they are bored. So I think after this, we are all convinced that we need to create mobile apps, that mobile apps are the future of the products we are creating, not only because of that we use mostly mobile phones, but also because of that people like to use it, that they like to use mobile apps when they are bored. So let's start with the types of mobile apps, because if you want to create a mobile app, you should probably know what types are available, and you should probably know how to choose one. Okay, so we already know from the title that we have three most common types. The first one is progressive, the second one is native, and the third one is hybrid. The title itself, like the names of the types, may already hint you how they are different from each other, but of course I will tell you more about it, so you don't have to be worried if you don't know anything about them yet. So let's start from the progressive web application, so our progressive mobile app. What it is actually that it's called the progressive web application, not just the mobile application. It's basically the web application, so the application we built to use on our computers, but it's adapted for mobile devices. So we can say it's easier to create because we already have all we need. We are just changing it to work on mobile devices. Also, it's working in a browser, so it's still the web application, but we can give the user a possibility to add the icon to the home screen. So something I've said before is important. So still app in the browser, but it looks like the mobile app. I think the best example of that app is the Twitter. I know that most of you probably used Twitter before, and when you go on your phone to their website, it's asking you to create a shortcut and to access the Twitter directly from your phone. First of all, you're not installing the app on your phone, so it may be good for you if you don't want to just clutter your phone, but you have the easy access. Also, the progressive web applications are available when you're being offline. So you may think that it's not that good to create the web application for your mobile phone because you may be in the position that you don't have internet connection, but still, maybe it is the web application, but we're still creating it so it will work offline. So this is something you don't have to be worried about. Also, loading of the web pages, because it's still the website, is unnoticeable. So the users don't have a feeling that they are just going through the browser. They have a feeling that they are going through the mobile app. So the feeling for them is that they are still using the mobile app, but on your side, it's a little bit different in creating the app. It's easier and it's cheaper, so this is a good way to create the easy app. Also, the app is loading really fast because there's not a lot of additional features added to the app, because as I said, it is the same as the web app. But the thing that could be most important here, as you can agree on the website to get push notifications. Also in the progressive web application, you still need to agree to get push notifications on your phone. So I think that could be problematic for some companies, because in the mobile app the main communication way with the users are the push notifications, and a lot of people are not agreeing to them just like automatically. When some website is asking me about the showing the push notifications, I'm immediately clicking no, because I know that a lot of websites are creating the spam. So I know that's not something interesting for me. So this is the risk in creating a progressive web application, that you will not have that easy communication with your users. So let's just sum up with the pros and cons. First pros is easy access, no installation. So you don't have to be worrying about people don't want to install the app because it will take a lot of space or something like this. You're just creating the shortcut on your phone. It's not taking any space from your phone. Also, it's working offline, so that's a good thing. Can be added to the home screen. So this easy access that we are talking about, we are checking that box. Also, it's cost effective. It's I think it could be the cheapest of the free apps that we will be talking about today. I know that the price mostly depends on the feature that you want to implement. It may happen that the native app could be cheaper than some progressive apps, but I think that in general the cost of the progressive app is lower than other apps. Also, it's easy to build and faster to deploy. So something we'll be talking about in the next applications. You need to create them, and then you need to deploy them to the Google Store or App Store. In the progressive web application, the case is different, because every change you have in the code, you can just put it live. So it takes you like minutes to do it. And when you put the app on the platforms like Google Store or App Store, you need to be the app needs to be confirmed that it's checking all the boxes for these platforms. So here we have the easier and faster deployment. So the last pro is we can do the push notifications, but the half of it is also a con, because we need to ask for them. So it's a pro, but we need to still remember about the bad sides of the push notifications in the progressive app. Okay, and with the cons, not available in the Google Store and App Store. It could be a problem. A lot of users, for example, when they tell each other about the app, first what you do, you're going to the Google or Apple App Store and you're looking for the app, and your app will not be there. So you may lose some users that would just download the app and they don't have time to look for your website and then create the shortcut. Also with this app, you may not be able to connect your app to some devices features. So if you want more advanced app that will use more features from your device, you need to go for the hybrid or the native app. So this would be not app for you. And also when you use it, this type of app needs some improvements with the performance, CPU load, and smoothness of operation for features like maps and camera. Basically, if you add more advanced features, it will not be that easy and nice in use as the other apps. So if you have the easy app to do, you may do it as the progressive app. But if you wanna do some additional features that will use devices features, you need to think about our next types. Okay, so our next type is the native application. So basically, native application is the app for platforms like Android or iOS. There are some other platforms, but we'll not talk about them today. So this is the app dedicated for just one platform. So you can create app just for Android or just for iOS, and they are of course available in their stores. So iOS in App Store and Android in Google Store. The app is installed directly on the device. So you also need to think that it will take some space from the phone, user's phone. Technologies for creating the app. Most common technologies for the Android are Java and Kotlin, and for iOS are Objective-C and Swift. Also, with this kind of application, it's like really easy to create some like most common components, because the community of programmers are creating like ready libraries that you can use when creating your project. So you just need to do some adjustments for your project, but basically you have the core of the feature that you want to create. So it makes the time you spend on creating the app shorter. And the most important thing, you will not create the app with the same team like the app for Android and iOS. Maybe you can find the developers that work in both technologies. There are some people that have this knowledge, but usually when you want to create two apps at the same time for Android and iOS, you need two teams. One will be focused on the Android and one on iOS. They also should communicate with each other, because you want the app to be the same. So they need to have the same knowledge about the project. They need to understand the project the same way. You may want to decide to create first app for one system and then for the other. For example, in the US, I know that a lot of users are using iPhones and not that much Android. So I've been in the situation that the customers wanted to start with the iOS app first, and then if it would be success, they would create the Android app. I think even Uber did this. But for example, if you will start to launching your product in Europe, from my experience among my friends, I think there's only a few that have iPhones and most of them have Androids. So it's always good to start simultaneously on two apps, because you wanna get to your target group, not separated by the types of phone that they use. Okay, so pros and cons. First of all, with the native application, you can use all the features of your device. So device compatibility is the best in this type of app. You don't have to be worrying about something not working together. If you're creating the native app, you'll get access to all of it. Also, the accessibility is really good, because you have it in the store. You can add it to your home screen, like always when you download the app. The app optimization is also efficient in this kind of application. The browsing for the app is really smooth. For the native application, I think it's the best application for the user experience, for how it works. It's the most the app prepared for for exactly this type of phone, so you don't have to be worrying about something not working on some devices. Also, the design can be adjusted to the device. Like you probably know that using iPhone and using the Android phone, for example, on iPhone you have the back like on the top, if I remember well, and with the Android you have this middle button to go to the home screen. Like there's a lot of differences. Small, but the design is adjusted just to the device that you're building the app for, so it's easier to create it and it's easier later for the user. Also, in this kind of application, you have automatic push notifications, so you don't have to ask the user about it. Of course, the user can disable the notifications later in the phone settings, but you don't have to be worrying for the beginning for the user to accept the notifications. But from the cons, this is the most expensive app. The developers that are working in these programming languages, their rates are higher than the rates of developers that work on hybrid apps or progressive apps. So you need to think about the cost when you start to create the app. So also there's high technical expertise needed. As I said, those are languages that are not that common with the developers. So you need to find the developers that are really focused on this language and they know what they are doing. Also, this type of application is time consuming. Also, if you want to create two at once, it will double the cost. But if you want to create just one by one, it will double the time. So it will go on money or the time. The maintenance is complicated. You need to maintain two apps. They are not connected later when you release them. You still have two apps to maintain. And it needs to be installed from the store. I know that it would be weird. It could be weird that I put this fact into the cons, because before I put into the cons that the app cannot be installed from the store. But here we also need to think about the user's behavior. If you would go to the website I got statistics from before, there's also statistic on that. I think it was more than half of users, they don't install new apps. So you need to think about it, and you need to think about the marketing from a start, because you need to convince the user to install the app. When he already has it on his phone, it's okay. You just work with the push notifications. But the journey of the customer from knowing your brand and installing the app, it could be more difficult than you imagine. So just keep it in mind that it's not just creating the app. You also need to convince people to install the app and later to use it. Okay, and our last type of application is hybrid app. I think that it's my personal favorite because it gives us a lot of possibilities and it's not that expensive. Basically, you're creating one app at the same time, and it's the app for Android and the iOS. When you launch the app, you of course need to make some changes in the code for the Android and for iOS, so it will work well. But basically, you're building two apps at the same time. So this is something you want to achieve as a creator of the app, because you probably want to have two apps at the same time, not just for iOS, not just for Android, and you don't want to pay for two apps. So this is the solution for you. Also, the apps are available in the Google Store and the App Store just as native application. It's also installed on the device, so it's really similar to the native application. I know that a few years back it was like a really big difference on the quality of the app, on how it worked, how fast it worked. But right now, people made so many improvements that you probably will not see the difference. I think that's a good solution for the people that want to use a lot of devices feature, but don't want to create just separate apps. The technologies that we use in hybrid application, like React Native, Flutter, Ionic, and Xamarin. And also here we have the libraries with the components. As I said before, there are already components that we can use. So as you can see, it's similar to the native application, but it has more advantages. Pros and cons. The programming language is more common, so it's easier to find developers. They are also, you can say, cheaper. I don't know. I know that it doesn't sound well, but yeah, they are actually cheaper than the developers for the native app. So that's something you need to keep in mind also with the maintenance later, because, for example, you may hire the software house to create your app, but maybe you have in mind that later you want to have your own team that will look after the app. So then you need to think that prices for the developers that will take care of the native app are higher than prices for the developers that can take care of the hybrid app. Also, the hybrid app is cost effective. You're paying less but getting more. Delivery is quicker than the native app because you're building the same app for the platforms at the same time. Also, the accessibility is as easy as in the native app, because we have it right in the Google Store and the App Store. And here also we have automatic push notifications. So as I said, there's not that many differences. But I said that they are better than before, but always you may find something that will tell you that the hybrid app is not that effective as native, and it will never be the same, because native is just for this kind of device and hybrid is for both platforms. So it always be something that you may notice that it's not getting you the results that native app would, but still you're paying less, so I think that's still okay. Also, the hybrid app may not have an access to all the devices features, like this most advanced. So you need to tell your developers, your software house, before what features exactly you want to get before deciding on the kind of application, because it may happen that you need to go for the native app. And as before, it needs to be installed from the store. So is a pro that it is available in the store, but still you need to get users to download it and to use it. Okay, so for the end, you may want to ask which type of mobile application you should use in your project. So first of all, if you are working with the software house, they should prepare for you the whole list of pros and cons based on your situation. So your software house has the knowledge to tell you what are your options, to show you the results of each way you could choose. So I think you should not be deciding on your own if you're working with the experienced team. But if you're creating your own team and you're thinking about it right now, let's start from the how much feature, how advanced features you want to get in this app. If it's a basic app, if it will not use a lot of features of your phone, you can just create the progressive app. Of course, remember about the fact that you need to ask for the push notifications, that it will not be available in the stores. But if it's really easy, you don't have to create the hybrid or native app. You can just go for the progressive app. And if you want to use the features of your phone, you need to first know what features. You need to check if the hybrid app is giving you a possibility to use the features of the phone, and also need to think about how you want to build the product in the future. Because if you want to go with the most advanced features in the next stage, you probably should think about starting from the native app if you know that you will go this way. But if you think that you'll stay with the level that you're planning right now, I think the hybrid app is the best start for your project. Okay, so that was all from me for today. Of course, I would like to invite you for the next week, for the next live. You can check the information about it on our Facebook. Also, we put the event on the LinkedIn. So if you want to get the notification, you can just use one of them. And if you have any questions, of course, you can ask them right now, or as always, we have our email available for you, info@gmihub.com, We'll always ask your questions. Don't think that there's something stupid you shouldn't ask. There are no stupid questions, there are only stupid answers. So don't be shy and ask us anything. Okay, I see there are no questions for now. I hope it's because I explained it well, not that you're afraid to ask. So, as I said, see you next week. I hope you're spreading the word that we are creating a great content, and a lot of you will be joining us as a new listeners. Okay, so see you next time and have a great week.